Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Oh man, hold on. How's that? That's a little bit better. I don't know why the sound was like down all the way. Well, I guess that's what I get for like taking a whole week off, right? Where's our music? Okay. There we go. All right. How are you guys? Welcome back, Ray, Paul. Let's come into the charts and see what's been going on this week, huh? Amir, how are you? It's good to see you guys. All right, well, should we start with the Treasury? No, you know what? Let's start with the S&P 500 because it's kind of been down. I think Zero Hedge was saying that this was the largest decline since January or something like that. It's kind of funny the way that the media reacts to it because they're acting like, oh my gosh, this is just the most terrible drawdown ever. Yeah, this was all-time highs. There's like the larger chart, okay? So just keep in mind, if we were to go back to where we were in April, I mean, if that's a big decline, good grief. So yeah, things have been on the downturn while I've been off here, but not that bad. Now, the Treasuries have also gotten a little hawkish. I mean, it's been back and forth. Of course, this back here was that jobs report. Ooh, such a crazy jobs report. And we were starting to see, the Treasuries really move up, but then we got that PPI. Oh man, we have to talk about the PPI. Because that happened while we've been gone. Or off, I don't know. I think that it will be a while where we're only streaming once a week, but okay. Oil. That sure is a nice bowl over there in oil. Gold just kind of chucking along here. I don't know. It hasn't been nothing all that special happening in gold or silver. Silver was outperforming, but now it's kind of not so interesting. I don't know. Kappa's still just reeling from this monster move. It'll be a while. I don't know if we can ever really say anything about oil until that's like well past us. That's such a crazy move. The Japanese yen. Okay, so you're not really going to see it in the Japanese yen, but the Japanese bonds are like at really critical levels. So we should keep an eye on the yen here, okay? And then Bitcoin. Well, so this was like a breakout to a new all-time high. And then they came up and they kissed it again, but they're back. So the Bitcoin people are a little bit upset, but come on. It's just a month. No big deal. No big deal. Man. That PPI. So what happened was we had a PPI where the expectation was spot 2 and we got spot 9, I think, which is wild. Just wild. Wild number. I feel like that the light is a little bit too bright here. I hate this thing where sometimes this eye, makes me look like I'm half asleep.
Block by.
Probably I need to sleep better. Anyways, I was so shocked that PPI was that the estimates were that off. Like, I was kind of surprised that we didn't have very much producer inflation. Given what's happening with the tariffs and everything, you would expect to see it come through, right? But then it all came through like all at once, and none of the analysts expected that or predicted it. Was really a gut punch, I think. Now, does that affect what we should do on rates? Well, it doesn't affect my opinion of what we should do on rates, but it could affect the Federal Reserve Board members. And it really seems to me overall that from the meeting minutes and everything else, that the board is mostly people of the opinion that tariffs are inflationary and we need to keep interest rates high to combat the effects of inflation. I am of the opinion that tariffs are actually largely a deflationary impact. Yes, prices go up because of the tariff, but it actually hurts growth. You need to treat it like a deflationary event. Otherwise, you will have a recession. Well, given where we are now, because let me tell you, with Jackson Hole today, the market always not just the market, but especially the media always oversells Jackson Hole. They always treat it like this huge, huge event when really it's just kind of this pedestrian thing at the end of the summer. Yes, the Federal Reserve does tend to roll out like relatively major policy initiatives or like changes in thought there, but the actual effect that they have on policy is not necessarily the game changer. Like even the one where they changed to average inflation targeting, I really don't feel like that has changed anything. But that's just me. But given where we're at and the title of the conference and everything, which I don't remember what the title of the conference was, but I just remember thinking, yeah, this is going to be a big deal. Today is going to be a big deal. Now, let's see here. Am I reading my thing correctly? I don't think that I am. Hold on. No, it says that it's mountain time. 6:42. That's correct. Okay. So Chairman Powell does not speak until 10 o'clock Eastern time. So basically after I'm gone, which sucks. Really sucks. But hey. So, but what I would say, guys, is, yeah, what he says at the conference is a big deal, and the market probably will move on it as much as it moves during a Federal Reserve interest rate decision. But what I would pay attention to more is the studies that come out, because there's going to be like all of the Federal Reserve members are going to be speaking. They're releasing all of this research and studies and things. That's probably going to be more useful information to you in the long run, because that's kind of where they give information like, you know, well, based on what's happening and everything, here's what we're learning now. So you can learn really critical things from those speeches. Let's see here, Apol. I never thought copper could die, but now we as humans are starting to master silicone type power transfer, yada yada. Copper can die now? Oh, I don't know about that. I think that the world still needs lots of copper. The world still needs lots of copper. But that tariff and then saying, oh, we're going to tariff copper, but actually no, tariff or copper is excluded was what a somebody goofed there. Somebody goofed. There's somebody in Discord. Yes, but really, I just wanted to find people who are willing to reason and think through the puzzle to see who actually knows their stuff here and filter out the TA crad. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah, no, I don't think I spelled that correctly. It always just really grates on my gear when technical analysis people come in and think they're going to enlighten us. Except for that they're a crypto person, so. The crypto pug. So, what else? Oh, hey, you know what? We can show you. I mean, so some interesting things that have happened. Oh yeah, what was this? This was some notes on, maybe I'm going to make a video about AI. Is it too late to make a video about AI? Because everybody's talking about the AI market is crashing, yada, yada, yada. Well, okay. Maybe it's too late. Over here, though. So I was trying, some of the things that I was trying to get working with Iced were just not really working. It kind of turned into, oh, actually, Iced doesn't even have a menu button. What? So I take a second look at it, and I realized that I had really, really overlooked Slint. I think that the community, like the people online, kind of were not as interested in Slint. One, because it's not purely Rust. Like, they have their own markup language to describe the forms or the GUI elements, essentially. So some people don't like that, which I know, I think is silly. Every major GUI framework that I've used has some degree of splitting it up, you know? But then the other thing is that they have a license that's basically like, you can use it and you can use it for free, even for a paid app, if you put our, you know, like a powered by Slint at the bottom or something like that. And then there's like a subscription you can pay, and then you don't have to put that on at all. And so I think that a lot of people in the Rust community were not interested in it because of that. It's kind of like the same, I forget what it's called. It's not Qt, but there's a framework in C++ that's very, very similar. Right? But for me, I think that's all like a really, really big plus. Like, I can pay and get support. That'll be great if it ever turns into a real product. So yeah. So I changed some things into Slint, and that helped me get over some of the roadblocks that I was encountering. I tell you what, man. I don't know if I should show you the whole code or anything, but some things are just really complicated. I mean, like this right here is just setting up logging. There's logging. We have to set up all of these objects and channels and stuff to get updates in the GUI. But it does run. And of course, I haven't done any work on like the formatting of it and stuff. I think I need to change the logs to be in like a table. But then we can do this, and it loads all of the Python. So there is a Rust Python script that intentionally has an error in it. Cool. And here's another one that just should return meat. And it does. So proving that we can call up the Python from Rust and do stuff with it. So, I don't know. I wonder to myself a bit, am I going as fast as I should? Because on one hand, it feels to me like, oh man, has it been 3 weeks or is it 2 weeks? I think it's been 2 weeks. No, actually it has been 3 weeks. And that's as far as you've gotten, Seth? But, it's only 90 minutes a day, and there's a lot involved. So, this is the way to do it, I think. Because there's a lot to learn from experience with Rust, right? But at the same time, there's a couple of pretty complicated things in there that I've figured out. And so, I might be closer to a real app than I realize. Of course, the big bottleneck is still going to be data. I was talking to some guys about data, and then they just kind of forgot about me, I think. But I'm not ready to integrate data just yet, so I'm going to wait and push harder on that when it's ready for it. Probably after I have like a working chart, and then we'll connect up data. So, I feel like there's something else that I'm supposed to be talking about today. I've got a lot going on personally, but we're not going to talk about that stuff. So the cryptocurrency market is doing something kind of weird this morning. It was seeing a pretty big downturn, and it is bouncing back hard. Oh yeah, so I was kind of like referencing this, but I didn't address it directly. Amir asking, do you track the market these days? Absolutely. Still every bit as much. So while I'm programming, I still have all of the charts up on the other screen. I'm reading all of the news and the headlines every day. I'm definitely like have my head buried in the code more than I used to. This, the day job that I've been working has been really keeping me busy. Probably don't need to go as hard as I do, but I got things I want to get done there. I want to put them on a good path. Actually, I think I've put them on a pretty good path. Though I am concerned, like, if it doesn't work out and they're not able to afford me, I am a little concerned for them. I'm sure that they will live, but will not be fun, Well, it kind of looks to me like the Treasury market is just going to be like so dead. So dead. I kind of think not streaming every day. So on one hand, I think talking to you guys is like greater stress relief than I realize. So like my dad was in the hospital because of a blood clot, which apparently this is like the 4th blood clot he's had or something like that. They didn't tell me about that. So hope he doesn't have an aneurysm. But man, just thinking about it makes me feel weak and woozy and like I'm gonna pass out. Like the thought of having a clot in your blood blocking your ugh. See, I need to stop talking about it. It really stresses me out. I don't know. Like, I think, oh, that doesn't sound very good. That's concerning. But I think we're okay. Well, it's like you feel the physical signs of the stress even though you don't consciously feel like you should be stressed out, you know? And like I'm just kind of like looking at myself and realizing like, well, I'm exhibiting a lot more stress than I should be. And maybe part of it is that streaming is stress relief, you know? Talking it out and have people to talk to. At the same time, I think that taking the time off has shifted my thinking on some things. Like, I just kind of feel much more like I've been trying to force things, and that I just need to learn to just be to some extent, you know, like what I say or do probably isn't going to have a serious effect on the market. I feel like that we have information, knowledge about the markets that is really important for society. And it really frustrates me that the world doesn't care more about complexity science, because that's kind of the tool that you need to deal with the modern problems that we have.
Block cell.
The problems that you can solve without complexity are mostly solved. But and I'm not saying I don't have the ability to bring that to the world. You know, like if it's going to be anybody, it's got to be me, because I'm the only one talking about it on, you know, at least within the, you know, the public realm. So, but wrapping like myself up in it, you know, doesn't help, right? Like, I'm gonna talk about it and present what I got because I think it's important and I'm interested in it and I want to do it. But like worrying about it and wrapping myself so much in whether we're successful with it or not, it doesn't really change anything or help or make me better or anything like that, you know? And so I have to be more content to be happy with the way that things are. Like that's the thing, is that the market is what it is. The world is what it is. And that doesn't mean that you can't make improvements, but the world's never going to be what you want it to be. I think that's one of the lessons we're supposed to be picking up when we're here in this life, is that like reality is what it is. The laws of nature are, in my opinion, the laws of nature are self-existent, right? Go play some pickleball. I am so weirded out by how much pickleball has picked up. What's with that? It's just like all of a sudden, all of the tennis courts in my area were being converted into pickleball courts and everybody was playing it. And I had never heard of it before. And this has all happened in like the last 2 years. Good morning. My dad was hospitalized with clots a year ago. He's been on Equus blood thinner to help prevent future clots. The topic also makes me queasy. Yeah, I don't know what it is. So one time when I was a kid and my grandma was in the hospital and I was being naughty, and so they told me to go out into the hallway. And then while I was out in the hallway, I don't know what happened, but I passed out. And I don't know if it was that I felt queasy or if I got so mad that I decided to like hold my breath until I passed out, or I don't know. But like, that was weird. And it reminds me of that. And I've always been, this is something that you don't want to admit about yourself, but I've had many incidents where they're like drunk because they have to draw my blood like every 6 months. They draw my blood and test my blood because of my colon problems. So they want to make sure that you're getting, that it's still working and you're getting enough certain nutrients and things like that. And if I go in and do that and I'm not like sufficiently hydrated and stuff, like if I go in there hungry or dehydrated, I will pass out. It's like the blood won't come out, and then, yeah. So for some reason, my family just has like really easily triggered valgus nerve. And it's always really weird to me because especially when they're getting the blood drawn, that doesn't, I don't know. The thought of the blood thinner and all of that kind of makes me feel queasy. But having my blood drawn, no big deal. No big deal. Until like the blood is not coming out and then it's like involuntary. Yeah, see, Greg, you know what I'm talking about. Could be a vagal response. I've been told that it's a vagal response. Sudden drop in heart rate, blood pressure. Yep, that's exactly what happens. And then you have to put my feet up. Yep, I have asked to sit when I'm getting my blood drawn, yeah. I'm really the thing that concerns me about that whole thing is that so he has a blood clot by his stomach, and so he had to stay in the hospital all night because they were concerned that if the blood clot, well, they were giving him medication to dissolve the blood clot, but they were concerned that if things went awry, that it could kill his stomach. You'd lose his stomach, which is, wow. Okay. That's wild. But now I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, because, he's not a skinny guy. So I always kind of thought that he's most likely to die the same causes that his dad died of diabetes, like just happened really fast. Like he had diabetes and then all of a sudden, in the course of a week, he died when I was 3. So I never really knew my grandpa on my dad's side. But now I'm realizing, like, he's most likely to die from a brain stroke. What are you supposed to do? Because okay, you have a blood clot, it's in your leg, and then you go, oh, okay, we need to take this medicine, and then you take care of it, right? But now he's got another one in his stomach, so that means that whatever they were doing, and they didn't tell me that he had blood clots in his leg, whatever they were doing wasn't working, That's crazy to me. And he's so nonchalant. He was not acting like it was a big deal. Negative effect of COVID injection. So yeah, my mom thinks maybe it was a COVID thing. Because, it didn't start until after COVID. I wouldn't put it just on the injections. Like the the devious thing about it is that the disease itself seems to cause blood clots. Oh man, this just gets me back into, I don't know, like almost conspiracy theory territory. Do you guys remember all of those reports that we were really not hearing on the news, but I was, seeing reports on kind of more alternative conservative news sources where they were saying that, like, people would die and then the mortuary would find that, like, their whole body was turning into blood clots. They just pull these long venous things out of them and stuff. Like, what? It's crazy. Crazy to think of. Wow. But the disease itself causes it. I think so. One thing that bothers me is, when they talk about that, is people say that it's the vaccine that does it. No, the vaccine just exposes you to the spike protein, and the spike protein causes it in some people. So whether you got the vaccine or whether you caught it kind of has the same kind of effect. And I would definitely say that for the first 2 years, after COVID, I was just not my best. Like, it was really, really hard to work out hard and all of these other things. I was just not as good after that. It took my energy. And it wasn't until like last year that I was really able to get myself into a long, 2 or 3 good workout cycles in a row. And I felt like my stamina and endurance and everything was back, So long COVID is definitely a thing. COVID had vaccines do have added substances, but it's the spike protein that causes the blood clots. Right? We have research that says that there is a certain very small percentage of people that get blood clots from the vaccine. And it's because the vaccine exposes them to the spike protein. Like, that's what makes COVID really weird and I think unique. It really makes me wonder, the lab leak theories. Because since this has happened, there's been a number of news stories that really strongly suggest that it was actually a gain of function research that escaped. Because the spike protein, that's like the way that your body will try to identify the disease, essentially. And each virus will have something about their exterior that kind of makes it harder for the body to detect. But in this case, the spike protein itself has adverse effects on you. That's really different. That's really different. But we're still getting into conspiracy theory territory because, like, yes, there was a study that showed that it causes blood clots, but like the numbers that they were getting on it were very, very small. So like the prevalence of it, it's got to be something else. Like, they're saying maybe they're just not as active as they should be. Well, my dad is retired now, so he should be able to fix that one. He should be able to be running or biking or whatever it is he chooses to do to increase the fur and cleavage site they edited. By the way, I'm glad to see you, Uzi. I was wondering if since we weren't streaming every day anymore, if we weren't going to see you. I really worried a lot about, like, well, I wouldn't say worried a lot about, because again, I've kind of been shifting into this mindset of like just trying to be here and present and not be like trying to exercise all of my facilities to try and force things to happen or something. But it's certainly something that crossed my mind many times. It's like, well, the big disadvantage to not streaming every day is that the stream dies out. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like I can take the whole week off except for Friday, and you guys are all here. And the number of viewers that we get is in line with what it typically tends to be. I haven't been here in a couple of weeks. All right, well. Okay, so then you did miss last week and the week before that. You haven't seen my... Wait, did I already close it? Look, I've spent 3 weeks, and this is all I have is a little window that posts logs and can load Python scripts. Oh, I'm so ashamed. No, I'm not. I tell you what, by the time I'm done with this project, I am like, this is leveling up my development skills so much. Rust is so hard, but Rust makes you a better developer. Anyways, blood clots. But it's got to be more than just like if you're not active enough, yeah, by the time you're done with that, most of us will have died of old age, maybe. I mean, I guess the thing is that to really make it a full-on professional product that people are going to want to use instead of their existing platforms, I probably can't get it there on my own. But I also think that the basic parts are actually not as far away as we might think. And I think that at the current pace that we're going, that after a year, we would probably have something that's usable and that I could then use as a proof of concept to try and get funding and bring people on. And if not in 1 year, definitely in 5 years. Kind of. So we're still in limbo with the day job. They did send me another offer, but it's still not enough. Ugh. I was going through all of the numbers yesterday, and I was like kind of disgusted with myself. Like, not with myself, but like just the situation, because like it was like, okay, so like how much am I actually missing out on, and like how much of an impact does that have? And it was significant. It was more significant than I thought, and it was kind of like, wow, stuff has just gotten more expensive, man. Stuff has just gotten more expensive. I'm not actually like what seems like maybe just a 10 or 15% cut in pay is actually a massive cut in pay relative to before COVID because of inflation. Like my real income changes much more significant. But I'm gonna keep working with them. There's some things going on at work that I think might benefit me. So, and they've still got 2 months to figure it out. So I'm hoping that I can expand my responsibilities and role there. So I think they really need it. And, you know, work there for 5 to 10 years. And when I've got them in a really good spot, I'll already have people all trained up and built. That's one of the things I tell you, it's something that I really, really want to do, or that I'm really interested in career-wise. Is like, I think especially when I worked for Goldman Sachs, they put a lot of development into you.
Block cell.
How was it that Goldman Sachs before the 2008 crisis and everything, where they were forced to make themselves much larger? Before that, they were far and away the most profitable firm on Wall Street. and they had like half as many people. And it was like, how do they do that? How do they get a workforce that is so amazing and so efficient? Well, I'll tell you how they find a workforce like that. They don't find it. They make it. They get you right out of college, and they put so much education and development into you. And I want, now that I'm at a part of my career where I have more influence, that's the number one thing for me is now are we going to do that for the people that I work with? Help them really level up. I've seen many companies kind of say that they're going to do that, and then they don't. They forget about it. I'm going to do it. So, after 5 years, then there should be more capable people that I could pass the torch on to, and then I could move on to something else, like making my own trading application company. That's kind of what that's kind of where I'm hoping to go. So it might be a 5-year thing. Yeah, crazy, right? Teaching people to do the job makes them the best at the job. Who would have guessed? Yeah. Teaching people to do the job by somebody that is the best at the job results in other people that are the best at the job. Yeah. I'm getting spam again today. Do any of you guys get these spam email calls? I mean, I know everybody gets spam email calls, but lately I've been getting this spam spam phone call that's like, this is so-and-so from the funding department talking about, you're all approved and blah, blah, blah. And they usually stick some things in there to try and make it seem like it's not a recording. Like it'll be a really attractive sounding girl, and she'll like clear her throat at the beginning of it. Like if it was a pre-recorded thing, certainly you wouldn't clear your throat, right? Okay. But the thing is I get the same call like literally every day now. Like literally every day. I'm not applying for a loan. I know I'm not applying for a loan right now. I'm not interested in picking up a loan right now. You're not going to get any money from me. Go away. Let's see here. Real software programming for the markets is not really a one-man band, small contract teams. There's always software contracts and documentation in most companies and makes. Well, yeah, I mean, the scope of the project is really large, but getting to a proof of concept, something that works, is not that far. That's something that we can do within a year or two. Because the issue is that, like, part of what makes a trading application so hard is there's so many tiny little things. Like I came in here and I did logging, right? That's the one thing that it does. I don't know why I keep closing it. Mostly all this does right now is just the logging. So like I have a really good base to build from so that when the application doesn't behave the way that I want it to, I have a really good idea of what's actually happening. Right. Okay. There's so many little details about this. Well, first of all, it doesn't look very good. It's just centering in the middle of the screen. It should be its own little window that stays down at the bottom. It should be put into a table of some sort, and maybe you can like hide certain windows or like change the time format. Right? I could probably spend a whole month just improving this one part. right? But I don't necessarily need to make that perfect. I need to have a good base infrastructure for how it's going to work and fit into the application correctly. To prove that this thing can do what we want it to, and that that thing is actually a really valuable thing that people will want. My numbers in our national do not call registry haven't had a spam call in years. Mine is too, but didn't stop anything, especially the stuff that comes from India. Yeah. Well, you know what happened to me was that I did a lot of politics stuff, and I was doing stuff with the county central committee. I wanted to be, I wanted to be an officer in our local caucus precinct so that I could go to the meetings that they hold regularly where they make county party level decisions and, organize people for canvassing and that sort of a thing. And there was this guy that was, like their chief technology officer or whatever. And he basically took the phone numbers from everybody and sold it. And so now I get all the spam calls. Improving that where you have a team, then the coding will be faster. Yeah. Part of it is also, I think that if I was building this application in C#, I would probably already have something for you now. I mean, I've built, using NinjaTrader and their things, I've built my own charting tools, and I can make it look and do like anything you want. And then the hard part is the data connector and handling the data. Right? I'd already be done. Part of it is that it's Rust. There's a lot of complexities that we have to deal with because it's Rust. But it will ultimately end up being a really amazing application because of that. There's more selling people's ID more than ever before. I doubt Europe and the UK is ready for it in terms of security. Maybe, but the EU has been kind of more aggressive about that sort of stuff than the United States has. So I don't know. You know what though? So that just makes me think about the whole AI thing. So I think something that's been happening. Stories coming out the past week. Have you read all of these stories about people that had psychotic breaks when they upgraded ChatGPT to ChatGPT 5? And they had a really close relationship with ChatGPT 4. It was basically taken from them, and when it was taken from them, they just had a complete break. There was one guy that started wandering outside his house and eventually ended up getting hit by a car. Another kid that I think offed himself. Man, it's wild. And then there was this document coming out from Facebook that was basically saying, like, if the AI develops a close relationship with an underage, with a 14-year-old, that's perfectly okay. And people are saying, like, we need to regulate this. We need to say, hey, look, you're not, the AI shouldn't do this. The AI shouldn't do that. And the AI companies are pushing back really hard. Like, no, you can't regulate it at all. There should be like no regulations at all for X years. I think that when they start talking about regulation, people think, oh, they're going to regulate it so that the robots can't take all our jobs. That's what they're going to do. But I'm more concerned about, the AI should not try to form intimate relationships with you if you are under the age of 18. You know? Oh yeah, it was states can't regulate AI for a decade. That's right. No, you're right. It was in the BBB. Can't believe, by the way, like, people were pitching such a fit about the bill, and then when it kind of passed, they kind of like passed it and signed it without anybody saying anything. They all forgot about it so quickly. Let the AI weed out the weak ones. I don't think it'll work that way, hey, Paul. I think that if we let Elon Musk have his way and everybody just starts to form a relationship with Annie, that humanity will just cease to exist. That there will be a large enough population collapse that just our entire modern way of life becomes infeasible and everybody die, like mass extinction event. I think that if you're going to have an AI and the AI is going to be intimate with you, that the AI should also encourage you to be intimate with actual humans. You go. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like the AI's fetish should be you getting together with a human. Humanity goons itself into extinction. Yes, that's exactly what I'm worried about. A robot at home AI bot now upgraded with child reproduction kit to perfectly mimic human creation in our future. So there's this anime I watched. It was an interesting anime actually. It was called I'm the evil lord of an intergalactic empire is what I think it was. And I don't know, it didn't quite end up being what I thought it was going to be, but it was okay. And basically what happens in that anime is his parents give him this perfect AI. But their society kind of looks down on robots, and he doesn't care. So humanity doesn't want you putting robots in charge of anything, and they all look down on it, but he lets the robot basically do everything, and because he lets the robot do everything, his empire becomes super successful and everything. I feel like not monkey humping on every new tech trend that hits the wires is probably a safe bet for life in multiple layers. Yeah, it really is. You know, like the progression of the technology is an interesting thing because LLMs really were a huge leap in artificial intelligence technology. But people expected that individual technology to continue to progress. When the reason that technology tends to progress faster than we expect isn't because like just the overall rate is faster or the overall rate on that one technology is faster than we expect. It's because different technologies will cross-pollinate and result in benefits that are way bigger than the two individual things separately. And that's where a lot of the really big innovations end up coming. That's kind of why this thing, you ever heard, like Bill Gates says, people tend to overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they do in 5 years. It's exactly that. So like where people thought that AI and large language models were going to be a year ago, they were just absolutely dead wrong. And I really think this idea that like large language models are going to like replace everybody is really kind of batty, to be honest with you. AIs are really just a way of reorganizing information. It's distilling the entirety of internet knowledge into this model that you can speak to with regular speech. That's it. Hey, Kyle. Anyways, so like you can get a lot done with that. The things that people commonly do in like certain processes and things like that makes it a lot easier to automate stuff. But from what I can tell, the AIs do not actually reason or think. If you're looking for them to do something like they can take existing knowledge and maybe get something out from it, but like when it comes down to like really solving problems and like responding correctly to the environment out there in all situations, they're terrible at it. So you really can't automate people's jobs away with it. People will be a lot more efficient. And I'll tell you something else. So most of the discussion that we've had has been, and I'm kind of getting into some of the things that I want to make a video about over here. They say like, oh, you don't need you don't need junior engineers anymore. Why would you need junior engineers when you can just have one senior engineer do everything? I think that's completely backwards. Why would you hire this one guy when you could hire 2 or 3 people for the same amount and give them AI and have them be that much more effective? You know? Don't get me wrong, you need seniors. Like, it's the whole thing. You need seniors, but you're probably better to have more juniors than seniors, right? You want to build up an organization. You want to have a couple of good seniors there to start with. They have the experience and can help guide you strategically. And then a bunch of juniors that they can develop. That's what I want to do. I hope that they pick me up and keep me. And then I want a bunch of juniors to build up. And yeah, let them use ChatGPT. They'll level up faster. If they use it correctly, you can level up faster with it. Wow, I know a guy who, if the AI tells him something, it's absolutely fact, just prompt it to use facts and research, he says, then we prove it wrong repeatedly and he still trusts it 100%. Well, I tell you what, if you ask the AI like something with the right context, it's pretty damn good on things. But you still have to double check all of its information for sure. Some of the things you can kind of verify the information just from the way that it says it and stuff, but you know, there are some things where the way it says, you just immediately know that it's nonsense. But it'll just make shit up. They just make stuff up. Like, that's the problem, is that if you're asking something that hasn't really been asked or discussed on the internet, then it will make stuff up. And there's like a 75% chance that what it makes up will be complete nonsense. But anyways, point is, I don't think AI is going to replace everybody. I think that a lot of companies are going to come out of this and realize that they need to develop their workforce. That they neglected their workforce and they're going to be playing catch up and they're going to have a really hard time retaining talent. Like, I think that eventually the Great Resignation environment will come back with a vengeance. Because I don't think that everybody really actually got to where they wanted to be during the first resignation. video for you to react to. Yeah, send it to me on Discord. People always had a dream of robots and AI replacing the hard manual jobs, but everyone is scared of it replacing factory and warehouse work in America. Right? Why is it that all of the discussion is about we're going to replace the white collar workers, but the blue collar workers are the ones that are going to stay around? Well, it's because all of the blue collar workers have kind of been jealous at how well the white collar workers have been doing. And the ownership class, the biggest barrier to the ownership class making more money is how much they have to pay their white collar workers. Which again is just, I keep wanting to swear here, it's just completely backwards, right? Let me tell you something. The companies that are making the most money are almost always the companies paying people the most too. Apple is a super, super profitable company. They pay their engineers a lot. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is definitely a thing that, like, if everything that you are doing is on a computer, then it's potentially easier to replace it with a robot, because it's a lot more difficult to make a robot that interacts in the physical world than it is to make one on the computer. That's true. So that's, I guess, a part of why they think that it's going to replace white collar workers first, right? But it's going to be, I think that in the next 5 years, you're going to have a similar renaissance in the actual robotics industry, where you will see some manual, like the remaining repetitive manual labor jobs get automated. They're getting there. They're getting there. And it's right now it's mostly a factor of getting the actual physical thing to be cheap enough and utilizing the changes that we just got from large language models and everything and applying that to acting in the real world. But I'm still just very skeptical of this idea that robots will replace everybody. Robots could replace certain roles, certain industries. But just like in past technological renaissances, people move on to other things that the robots can't do. And I think that there will be like a hard ceiling. Because if you were really going to have a robot that was more efficient than the humans, how are you going to do that? I don't think it's possible without basically making people. Because to some extent, we are like biological computers, right? And that is extremely efficient. We can do really sophisticated processing and so forth that requires insane amounts of power from robots. So there's going to come this point where it's like you might have a really, really capable AI, but it requires so much energy that it's still cheaper to use people. So that's kind of why I don't think that the AIs can replace us. Similarly, there's this other thing. So I think there's a larger threat to white collar workers right now, and that is outsourcing. Why? If everybody can do their job from home, where I work right now, they kind of moved us into a space that's not very comfortable, and so people want to work from home. People want to work from home, and the owners don't like that idea. But if everybody is capable of doing their job from home just as well as they can from work, then what's stopping companies from moving all of their jobs to India? And we've been seeing that. They've been moving a lot of jobs to India. It used to be, well, you'd do that and then you'd find that the quality of work wasn't very good and yada, yada, yada. But, well, one, I think that the workers in India have gotten better. Two, I think that the problem was never that Indian workers weren't as skilled or anything like that. I think that it kind of has more to do with the relationship, right? Like when the people that are working for you are basically like contractors and they don't have the same kind of investment in the success of the firm as the employees do, then you don't get as good work, essentially, right? So, yeah. I'm very concerned about how many tech jobs will get outsourced to India. Of course, there will always be some tech jobs over here, but could enough tech jobs get outsourced to India for it to be a problem? I think so. I really think so. But, you know, it's always a pendulum, right? So one of those things, like the more jobs get outsourced to India, the less effective it is, right? Because that means more demand from Indian workers, and thus we have to pay them more, and it will eventually even out to a point where outsourcing to another country doesn't benefit you. There's probably a long way to go before we get to that point, though, right? But then I think the other issue is that you can only outsource so much before it like starts affecting government revenues and things like that. And then the politicians step in and do something about it. Yeah. Having a cleaning service is a status symbol for a lot of people. You'd be surprised no one sees the robot vacuum, but they see the team of ladies pull up with their buckets in your driveway. Maybe. I bet so, especially in Moneyland down. So I don't know, but at the same time, I also think that a lot of these issues that we're dealing with in society right now are largely a factor of us moving into a period where monetary policy is really tight. Like, really think about it. What happens when you're at the beginning of a technological revolution where you're going to completely restructure your economy, but at that moment, you have interest rates so high that nobody can invest? You get what's happening right now. If we were able to invest at the pace that we should, with neutral interest rates, none of these things would be problems, because we would be growing so much from these efficiency improvements that we're seeing that just everybody would be making money hand over fist. I really think that the problems that we're experiencing right now are a function of they're not printing enough money to keep up with the economy. Which just comes back to the tariff thing, right? So think of it like this. What if today Donald Trump got up and said, okay, you know what? I was wrong. All tariffs are repealed. Well, what would be the effect of that? Well, I think that equities would go up. That's pro-growth, right? So if equities go up, that's pro-growth. What are the treasuries going to do? Well, less inflation, but that inflation was always supposed to be short-term, transitory anyways. But then more inflation from the economy may be growing too fast. Would be an inflationary event, not a deflationary event. So why is it the other way around? When we do put the tariffs on, oh, that's inflationary, not deflationary. Does that make sense? Because the reality is what you've been seeing these past 2 years, 2 or 3 years, was they had to raise interest rates so high to deal with the post-COVID inflation that is just absolutely destroying the economy. And in normal circumstances, you maybe would have a recession, but it's just harder to have a recession in the modern economy. So instead, everything just kind of skips along. Companies continue to do well, and people just get slaughtered, financially. They did too much too fast. Yeah. I mean, I would even say, like, maybe the amount that they did and the pace that they did was appropriate, but they should have backed up faster. It should have been. I hate kind of taking this approach to it, but I think I agree with Donald Trump. I think that the Federal Reserve is always late. Like, the market always thinks that the rates are going to move sooner than the Federal Reserve actually does it. Like, if you go and you've seen those charts where it's like, this is what the market thought was going to happen, and they're always thought that they were going to raise or cut rates before it actually happened. It's because the Federal Reserve, because they are quote unquote, data dependent, they have to wait until you see it in the data, and by that time it's too late. So yeah, you raise interest rates to deal with inflation, but then you very quickly bring them back to neutral. You don't wait for the inflation to completely subside and everything's safe before you bring it back to neutral. We should already be back at neutral, so that we have an economy that can grow and restructure itself. Because we just had a huge generational restructuring of society because of COVID. And then we're encountering possibly the most deflationary force that humanity will ever see with artificial intelligence. It's not going to replace us, but it's going to make people more efficient, and that's deflationary. And Donald Trump is trying to revitalize domestic manufacturing. I don't think that it'll really bring jobs back, but we do need to bring the manufacturing back, especially manufacturing of things like chips. They're trying to do that all at the same time. That's a great restructuring of the economy. How do you do that with interest rates high? You can't. So we're all just going to sit here and complain about it until they bring interest rates down. Nothing else is going to happen. I don't know. Because I kind of don't think that. I don't know. If they leave interest rates where they are, will it lead to a recession? Because it could still happen, but I kind of become a little bit. I'm less bullish on a recession than I was a month ago. Excuse me, my nose is like really, really itching for some reason. An endless cycle of printing and debt is the foundation of every modern economy, but blow your load on $7 trillion in a year and you're going to get like 4 years of inflation. Yeah, that's exactly it. No, you're totally right. Like this, the thing that you have to print money. Like there has to be enough money for the people to do what they want to do. But if you give them too much money, then you get inflation. And so the problem is that the politicians kind of realize that, oh, printing money is actually good. And so they always overdo it. What's happening to Powell? Nothing's happening to Powell, but he will be speaking in about 10 minutes. And it's going to be a pretty massive market-moving speech. Only administrative and managerial is held in the West with regards to banks. You know what's something that really weirds me out is that even things that like for regulatory reasons and things like that, shouldn't they stay in the United States, but they're being outsourced? Okay. Like, you just have to have some middleman for it, you know, to satisfy the regulatory requirements. I guess I'm saying I think it's likely that before the end of the Trump term, that the government could start imposing rules and penalties that strongly penalize outsourcing white-collar work. Whether those policies will actually work or not, I guess we'll see. But is just inevitable if it's actually effective. Because, I mean, could be wrong. Could turn out to still just not be very effective, and then the cycle goes through once again, and they, you know, bring more jobs back to the United States, and it just keeps going in that cycle. But if it doesn't, the pendulum swings too far one way, politics will get involved. But, you know, like, the thing is, we sit here, we speculate about what's going to happen. It's still, my attitude is, what's going to happen is going to happen. And our job is primarily to sit here and enjoy watching. Isn't that a great position to be in? Like, yeah, we want to make money here. We're all here to make money. Sure. For sure. But it's retail trading. Like, there's a limit to how much money you can make from it, right? And if you're retail trading, it shouldn't be your primary source of income. Wouldn't recommend doing that unless you already have a really big wad to trade. So that means that you're in a position to somewhat just enjoy the show. At times that might feel a little bit perverse because, you know, crazy things happen in the economy and it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. But it doesn't change what it is and what's going to happen. But what I'm trying to do here with my trading app, we can't outsource that. Maybe I should look. Maybe there are some really good programmers on Upwork that will do Rust for us. But I think that I need to be the one that architects the base. I think that I am pretty good at making strategic technical decisions. So all the systems that I've worked on, I felt they were better than when I left them better than when I started. We get things done, we do them well. My teams, I tell you what, every company that I've worked for, I've been in a situation where because of a decision that was made, the company is put in a really tough spot and like really, really put behind. But it was never because of a decision that my team made. I remember in school early on making mistakes like that. Never in the corporate world. So let's see here. We got 5 minutes. Well, I should leave a little bit early because I got to get in and go to work. But we should go and look and see what does next week look like. Are we going to be streaming on Friday or should I stream a different day? And by the way, again, I appreciate you guys so much. I should be putting out a video on Monday about that. Really, I tell you what, man, this thing is amazing. But it's a laptop dock that lets you use 4 monitors. I have a video out about that. Ugh. This video has been tough just because it hasn't fit in very well. And then I lost the video and I had to record it twice. Okay, so next week. Wow, next week looks like a pretty packed week. But Friday is the day that we want to stream. Okay, so next stream will be on Friday. I'm still paying attention and watching Discord. And we'll continue making videos. We should make this video about AI. Because I think there's some things about complexity that kind of tell us things about how AI might actually go that could result in valuable investments for you. So I'm gonna make that video at some point. Next, that should be the September video. All right, guys. I will see you next week. In the meantime, stay excellent.